Hi, I'm Dave Ringo, and this is Across the Hooniverse. In this series, Scoops and Revelations, we're going to look at what we learn from each story of Doctor Who. And this time around, we're going to look at the episode The Woman Who Fell to Earth, the first story in Series 11 of the modern series. So we're going to take a look at mainly some things about the Doctor's backstory that are kind of interesting, things we might not have known before that fill in some of the gaps of our knowledge of the Doctor. The first thing I want to take note of is when the Doctor was on the train, and she makes a joke, but it was true, that half an hour ago, she says, I was a white-haired Scotsman. Remember that one? And, well, first we learned that it was a half an hour ago that the regeneration took place, so clearly this story takes place right after the previous one, although I'm sure that Big Finish will find that they could fit probably an adventure into that half hour. But the statement, I used to be a white-haired Scotsman, is kind of interesting because it's not actually true, because the Doctor was never a Scotsman, right? The Doctor didn't grow up in Scotland. The Doctor's not native Scottish, right? So the Doctor was never a Scotsman. But the Doctor sounded like a Scotsman and looked like a Scotsman, right? With white hair. But it just goes to show that this is the appearance of the Doctor that we're talking about, not what the Doctor actually is, but what the Doctor looks and sounds like. And it's the same thing now. The Doctor appears to be a woman from Yorkshire. Has the accent and everything. But as in the case of not being from Scotland, clearly the Doctor is not from Yorkshire either. So it says something about regeneration, about the body that the Doctor is in, right? The Doctor is no more Scottish than from Yorkshire. And the Doctor is no more a woman than a man. The Doctor's a Time Lord. So the body, the appearance, is just that. It's just the shell. It is not truly what the Doctor is. You can't really say that the Doctor is a woman any more than you can say that the Doctor was a man. The Doctor is a Time Lord. And whatever Time Lords are like, that's what the Doctor is. Doctor's not human. We, of course, learn, and we already knew this sort of, that with regeneration, there's memory loss, which gradually comes back. We learn a little bit more about how regeneration feels. Did you notice that? That it hurts. The Doctor says it's painful. She refers to every cell in my body burning. Some of them are still at it now, reordering, regenerating. So regeneration obviously is still occurring even though she's in her new body. There's still more happening on the inside. And then she says, there's this moment, describing the process, right? There's this moment when you're sure you're about to die, and then you're born. Giving us a little more of a window into how it feels to the Doctor to regenerate. It's terrifying, she says. Right now, I'm a stranger to myself. There's echoes of who I was, a sort of call towards who I am. And I have to hold my nerve and trust all these new instincts, shape myself towards them. So it's a bit of new information about how regeneration works. And I thought it was well written. Another thing that we learn a little bit, it's actually not, the information is not all that new, when the Doctor refers to her family. Remember that part? She says that she lost them a long time ago. And there's actually a similar conversation that occurs in the second Doctor story, The Tomb of the Cybermen. Do you remember that one? In The Tomb of the Cybermen, the Doctor talks about having lost his family. She says here in this story, I carry them with me. What they would have thought and said and done. I made them a part of who I am. And she mentions that, let's see, she says also, so even though they're gone from the world, they're never gone from me. And it's nice to know that the doctor doesn't forget these family members. But it also tells us quite clearly, and this we didn't really have explicitly stated before, that they're no longer in the world. They're dead. We assumed so, but now we know so. And I don't know if the doctor's referring to Susan, but it sounds like it. So maybe Susan's dead too. There's a comment that the doctor makes about when she's getting new clothes. She's going to get new clothes. She says, "It's been a long time since I bought women's clothes." Which is, a joke, but the implication is, well, wait a minute, were you a woman before? But that's not possible, right? Because we've seen all the doctor's incarnations, and none of them were women. So what is she referring to? There's a cool video by Ace Creeper where he kind of hypothesizes what the doctor could be referring to here. But it could even be shopping for Susan or something like that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the doctor shopped for herself in the past as a woman. But it's an interesting statement. And it does sort of make us recall Missy's statement in an earlier story that a joke that the doctor was once a little girl, and you wonder if there's a connection there. At the end, when the doctor's trying to track the TARDIS, she says, my ship uses a particular type of energy. I track that energy trail. So I don't recall. I'm trying to think of another instance where we're told that the TARDIS leaves an energy trail. I don't remember any such situation, so this could be a piece of new information. And what is that energy? Is it Artron energy, the energy we've heard of before? Or is it some other kind of energy? Unclear. And then, of course, in the show, we learn a bit about the alien. We don't really know if the Stenza are going to show up again, so this may not be that important of information. But we do find out that Tim Shaw, as he's called, that he came from more than 5,000 galaxies away, so quite a distance, is using DNA bombs, which, by the way, were used before by Chibnall in another story, I think in Torchwood, and that they are outlawed in most civilized galaxies, the doctor says, and that the warrior is engaging in what he calls the ritual of the Stenza, which is apparently to how they determine who their leader is going to be. He has to go on this hunt. So some interesting information about them. I'm mentioning it only because he seems to survive, so he may be returning. So that's all I have on this one. We'll be doing another one for the Ghost Monument, and maybe we'll learn some more things in that adventure. So in a few days, I'll have that one up. Stay tuned. If you want to see that one, just hit the subscribe button. Catch you later.